Good. Website design. Great. Good morning, everyone. We're going to get started. I'm going to share my screen very, very quickly. There we go. So today's topic is economics, understanding economics, and we're going to try and simplify it enough for everyone so you can understand how this impacts your business, right? So firstly, there's two type of economics. It's the microeconomics, which is the little things, right? Which is the little things. And then there's macro, which is the big things. What is important for us, right, as small business owners is to understand how we fit in to the economy, right? And this is the thing with economies, even though they're very big, everything affects us. And they have cycles, economic cycles, and understanding those cycles allow you to make better decisions in your business, because these are the decisions that you're making every day to diversify, when to scale, when to invest, which areas to go into, right? And understanding this allows you to make better decisions. So the microeconomics, right, it focuses on behavior, right, individuals, households, companies, right, that makes up the bigger picture, that makes up our economies. Everything that is produced, whether it's goods, whether it's products, whether it's services, right, it takes every single one of those things, right, and it looks at how that impacts our economy, right? And that changes from time to time, and understanding that allows you to make decisions, right? Macroeconomics is how it affects the economy, right? And here's the crazy thing, something happens in the Middle East or in Asia, and there's a war, but yet it affects the products on the shelf here by me. And this is how the world is worked, right? Everything is connected. Everything is connected, right? So if something happens overseas, right, if the economy is going a little bit down overseas, it affects us. It affects our businesses. It affects our products, because everything is linked, and strategy from government affects us as small businesses. So we need to understand how government has planned growth. And remember, normally governments plan years and years ahead, right? So we need to understand that plan, and we need to understand where we are in our current economy and how that affects us. And that is what we're going to be covering today, right? So if we look at understanding the very basics, so the GDP, right, is how government makes money, right? The total revenue coming in from products and services and goods and exports, right? So currently, if you look at where we are, our GDP, not only our GDP, but we run at a loss. This is how our government operates. We run at a loss, right? So if we take everything that we import, everything that we produce, and we sell it, that is the money that the government sits with to cover services, to make sure that the government itself is actually functioning and providing services, right? So that is very, very important. And remember, South Africa is a third world country. So what we will do today, we'll try and compare us to other countries that has got a healthy GDP, that is in a plus, and how that affects businesses. We have inflation, right, which is the price of products, right, and services and goods. Everything goes up. If you look at, I don't know when last, I got the shock the other day when I went to go buy a block of cheese, like 190 Rand. Like, it's crazy, right? If you look at inflation over time, right? So we're going to look at how that actually impacts us, right? How inflation impacts us and how important that is in our business. Because if inflation goes up, every cost goes up. It's like a ripple effect, right? It's like a ripple effect. So we need to understand how that works. Looking at the unemployment rate currently, we have the highest unemployment rate in the world, which is crazy because we need to look at how that actually impacts our business and impacts the economy. And remember now, what happens is if our economy is doing very, very, very well, right, everyone benefits through that, right? Everyone benefits through that. And that is why our Greenhouse Foundation, the work that we do is about helping small businesses grow, creating jobs. That's our core focus as an organization, is to help businesses grow. And the reason why we believe that is so important, because we understand that if people is employed, right, if they're employed, right, they a value to society, they're building income into their family, right, and they are spending more, and when they spend more, governments grow. So that's the ripple effect that you want to create. And then also the interest rate, and this is how government controls spending, through the interest rate. So they lower interest rate, they make it easier to borrow money, right? And when people borrow money, they are growing. And but they only do this when they feel comfortable, right? To be able to take out loans and grow. So government control this banjo. It's like a banjo that goes up and down, and that is what we're going to. And there's a saying: "What goes up must come down." So this is why when we look at cycles and we understand where we are, and this is what economists do, they predict, but they predict based on previous experience. So they know this is what happened so many years ago, right? It went up and then it went down, and this is where the cycles come in, and it follows the cycles. It's a rhythm, right? So what goes up must come down, right? And this is what we're going to be looking at, where we are currently now, right? We're in a trough, right? And this is the different phases. So there's four phases. And it's not just South Africa. You must remember how this works. It is global. So things happen globally. It affects everyone in the world, right? So if we look at where we are, we currently in the red, right? So we're currently in the red. So we are in a trough right now. And if you look at globally where the world is, remember we're saying everything that happens in the world affects us because we import, we export, right? So things that happen globally affects our country and it affects us. So we need to understand how it affects us, and we also need to understand, what is happening in the world. So we are currently in a trough in South Africa, right? So we are in contraction. We're currently in phase 3 red, which means people are not spending as much money as what they used to, right? And that affects everyone. It affects businesses because remember, when people spend, right? When people spend, businesses have more money, right? If businesses have more money, they pay more tax. And when they pay more tax, government has more money. So it's a ripple effect, right? And if no one spends, that is when everyone goes in, everyone, when they're making decisions on how to spend, that is when they're going to change. So that's where we are currently. But when we look at phase 1, if you look at how this impacts you, phase 1 is expansion, right? That is when there's a lot of technology, a lot of finance, because people want to grow, right? During the peaks, it's about making the money, right? Building capacity. That is in a peak, right? And that was a few years, actually just after COVID, right? That is where a lot of companies started scaling again and started growing again. During a trough, remember we're saying that when certain businesses are moving, other businesses are slowing down. Remember, it's not all businesses. During a recession, right, during COVID, Evans, right, a lot of businesses closed down, but then a lot of businesses did very, very well, right? So we need to understand this, that when we say we're in a trough, generally, most businesses are not are not spending as much and not doing as well, but there is businesses that does very, very well. So companies that are in healthcare, because when things are not doing well, healthcare companies, they look at their health, right? They want to take out insurances, right? These are the things that they are spending money on, how to improve efficiency and performance. So if you are in those industries, if you can save companies money, if you can improve efficiency and performance for businesses now, you are in the right space, because this is where companies are going to be spending, right? And then outperformer stages, that's phase 4, that's recovery, right? Then we're going to start investing. So no one invests in property during this phase. However, people with cash flow, this is the time when they buy, because they sit with cash, they sit on cash. And when property prices are low, which it is now, they will buy, and later on, when when the economy is more stable, people are spending more money, they're more confident, then they will purchase properties and then they sell it. And this is what a lot of investors do, right? They look at these trends and they make decisions and they buy and sell properties. And understanding this allows you to do that, right? And if you look at globally, right? And I just recently, Warren Buffett has sold over $7 billion of his stock. You need to understand this, right? Some people, they study economics. So there is no one currently in the world that is sitting with more cash than Warren Buffett. $7 billion of cash that's sitting there, and he sold. Now you must ask a question. He's a really smart man, right? Why did he do this? Why did he sell 7 billion of his stock? Because he understands, right, that there's cycles, and when companies goes into a recession, a lot of companies fall flat, and he would rather sit with the cash. And when companies start growing again, he would then reinvest. And this is what investors do. They look at these trends. They look at trends and how it affects them globally, right? So if we look at supply and demand, right? When there's a lot, right, of a certain products, the cost goes down. Right? When people want the product, right, the price goes up. And this is where, when you look at how governments control this. They understand supply and demand very, very well. So what they do is, right, a lot of products, they wouldn't make it available in South Africa because they want to keep the price high. Like, so when we look, I was involved more than 15 years ago in international trade, and we used to do containerization. That was many lifetimes ago, right? And then this is how it works. And I looked at the amount of fruit going out of the country, the amount of fish going out of the country, right? And this is what governments do. They control this, right? They control this because they don't want them to be too much of it, because if there's too much, the price drops, right? So when you look at the price of masks, what happened during COVID, everyone decided, you know what, we're going to all make masks, right? Because there's a need for this. I'm going to move into this. I'm going to do a hand sanitizer. And everyone decided everyone's going to make hand sanitizer. So what that does is too much in the market. There goes the price drop. It's now not profitable to make it anymore, right? So this is how supply and demand, and government controls this, right? Government controls this. So inflation and interest rate, we've covered, right? If we look at policies, right, export and import policies, government controls what comes in. So when it comes in, there's a tax on it. Why? Because government's there to protect local consumers, right? Because they cannot expect a manufacturing company to compete with China to produce a t-shirt, because they can sell a t-shirt for 10 rand. Like, how do you produce a t-shirt for 10 rand? The material costs more than that. But they have a different model, right? And this is why we cannot compete with China, because they work their costing models per year. So if they've achieved in 8 months, they've achieved their profit for the year, for the rest of the year, they're going to flood the market with their goods and service. They made their profit already. It's about it's about flooding the market with their products and services and getting new clients so they can focus on manufacturing and volume. And this is why we cannot compete on cost with China, which is why there is duties. So governments put import duties in. They say, fine, you can buy it for 10 Rand, but we're going to charge you 100% duty. So you're going to pay 20 Rand, right? And then you still need to pay for the transport to get it here. So you might think, maybe it's not that cheap. I'm going to take all the cost and to get it here, and I'm going to pay import duties. Maybe it'll be better to support a local company in sourcing it, and this is what government wants. They want to encourage buying local rather than import, because when you're importing, money's going out of the country, because remember, you're buying in dollars, right? So money's going out of the country, right? This is what you want. But if you export, however, you have products going out, but you have dollars coming in. So they are encouraging export. They're assisting companies that want to export, right? Through Westgrow and different government departments. They're saying, fine, if you're going to export, we're going to help you. We're going to help you build your capacity. We're going to make sure that you are export ready. And we're going to give you that support because that's good for the government, right? Exchange rates also fluctuates, right? Depending on the rand during different times of the year. So if you look at items like ICT, a lot of the technology that we import, right, those are in dollars. So that impacts our rates when the rand goes up and down, right? And a lot of companies benefit through that. So these are the different phases, and this is how it affects you. So remember, during expansion, there's investment for growth, right? So if you look at time frame, remember we said we're in a trough, right? Hopefully by next year, things is so 2026 is looking to be a good year on paper, according to economists, which means that there's going to be expansion. Companies are going to be investing in growth. They're going to be making sure then, and soon after expansion, there is peak where they're going to be looking at increasing profits, right? Contraction is again where they're going to look at cost saving, and then it goes back into trough again. So this is the cycles. This is the cycles where we are now in trough. Efficiency, looking at improving efficiency, right? Lowering costs, those debit orders that keeps going off. This is where they're going to be closing those things down, right? They're going to be investing in training and development, right? Because they want to do more with what they have. They're not going to be taking on finance. They're not going to be investing in new equipment, new machinery at this time, right? So those are the decisions that you are making in this time. You're going to be looking at new partnerships. You're going to be looking at outsourcing items, outsourcing things that you used to do before. Rather look at forming partnerships with a company that can do that, rather than you taking on and over investing in capacity at this time. Right. These are the things that you're looking to do, and also diversifying, right? This is a great time as a small business to diversify. Look at offering something, because remember now, during a trough, there's less money, but there's also the competition is more because now businesses are competing. Everyone is competing for that little bit of scraps, right? This is how it's working. So you need to be investing and you need to be competing. And if you're able to offer something that no one else is offering, this is a great time to diversify. You don't want to compete during this time, right? If you're competing, those with the experience, they're going to be taking clients during this time. But if you're able to diversify, offer something new, no one is offering it, you're not competing, right? This is a great time, and you're able to offer something valuable, something efficient at a low cost, can save people money. That is the time. This is the great time to be able to do that. Okay, so if you look at where expansion, support from government, right? Yes, there's grants. Yes, there's subsidies that's available, right? Lots and lots of funding. Remember now, 20 billion that was made available through government. They've made that funding available for growth. Now, here's the thing. During recessions, during a trough, right? Companies are not spending money. Consumers are not spending as much money, but government is still spending, Right? So government still spends. Government spends more during this because they want to counter. They want to counter, right? They want to say, look, how can we help you get through this, right? And because the sooner you get through it, the sooner we move to peak and to peak again, and the sooner we cycle and pivot. So government offers support, they offer incentives for you to be able to expand your business, right? Through tax, those that is behind, right? Through tax, you're able to offer and get support during this time, right? So you're able to go if you're behind on your tax, and you're able to make what they call a deferred arrangement. What is a deferred arrangement? You go to your consultants, and not your normal tax office in town. It's a special office in town. It's on Herzog Boulevard. It's not the main one. It's on Herzog Boulevard. It's the tax office there. You set up a meeting. You go in a few minutes. You speak to a consultant. You ask, can I make a deferred arrangement? Right, whatever's due, they will put an arrangement in place that you can pay it off small amounts, but then you are compliant and you can do work with government again, because you understand you cannot do work with government if you're non-compliant. So all of these things has been put in place through government to be able to assist you during peaks, your peak, right? When everyone is making money, right? Government and corporates are looking at procuring suppliers, so getting supplies, building suppliers, because this is what happens when you expand. You need people to do the work. So government is looking at expanding. So they're going to be looking at expanding. And this took place a few years ago, where government was looking at expanding suppliers, bringing suppliers. And we did this for a few years, right, where we did how to register with government, and had lots and lots of these interventions to increase the amount of suppliers, because when things are going well, they're spending more and they need suppliers to do this. Not just government, but corporates, right? Registering with corporate supply chains. This is what you do during a peak. It's easy to get in. If it's not in a peak, you'll find a lot of corporate companies like Astron, right? And Woolworths, you can't actually enter the supply chain. During a session, no, we don't want it's you can't register. You can't register as a supplier, right? During a trough, we have suppliers. We're going to keep them busy first. We're not going to take on more suppliers now. We're just struggling to give a little bit of work to our current supplier. We're not going to take on. But during peaks, come and register. Now, that's where you need to, as a small business owner, you're looking for those peaks. Why? Because that's the time you're going to get in, right? You're going to get in, register as suppliers, corporates, Capitec, ABSA, right? All the insurance, you're going to register with those companies, right? During peaks. How do I register as a vendor? You go and you register, right, during the peak, because they will allow you to register, because they want to build capacity, right? Right? So contraction, now things are getting tough. They're offering relief, right? Tax, right? For training. And this is where you'll see when companies start training. So companies don't train, right? And they don't train when things are busy. Why? We're busy with operations now. We're struggling just to keep up. We can't afford to get to send people on courses, right? This is what happens. We can't afford to send people on courses. Everyone is working. We can't give them off, right? And it's a requirement, right, that 10 days, for those that don't know, 10 days paid training per year. But when you're busy, we can't let you go off, right? We rather pay you extra, but you have to work, right? You have to work. But during contraction, now things are not doing so, things are slowing down, and during trough, we have time. Okay, let's train now. So what government do? They're offering benefits to train, 60,000 rands tax rebate, right? To train and upskill one person within your organization, right, that doesn't have a qualification or is unemployed, through the discretionary grants. They're offering that through the discretionary grant funding that you apply for through your CETA, whichever CETA you're in. So those grants, this is when companies are accessing it now, because you must remember 1% of every person's salary in South Africa goes into that grant. It goes into that grant, right? And that grant allows you to claim mandatory, which money that's due to me, which I can use towards development and skills development. And then there's discretionary. Discretionary is the grant which companies don't access for some reason. They just don't access it. They take it as a tax. They just take it as a tax. So what happens is they don't claim it, and every single year there's about 350 to 400 million in that discretionary grant funds, which people can access for training unemployed staff, and anyone can apply from any seater. Isn't that crazy? So this is when you do that. This is when you do that. If you have staff that is not qualified, you have a driver that you want to give a send on a forklift course, or you have someone that you want to send on business administration, right? This is the time that you're going to do that, and you're gonna apply through the different mandatory grants, discretionary grants for government, because remember, government covers those costs during this time, right? So that's when you're gonna apply for it, right? So after the trough, we must remember, after hardship come ease. So this is where we're heading. This is where we're heading. So if you look at where we're heading, support for infrastructure, IDC, TTI, this is where the support is for expansion, right? For infrastructure. Government saying, let us help you expand, right? And apply for those type of funding. Because now there's contracts. Now people is now growing, and there's support for you. So that's where government is offering support, is after this. So next year, a lot of support is going to be there for expansion, and accessing that is key. So remember what we're saying now. This is where we are right now. Let's just have a quick stop and see if there is any questions, because I move very fast. Let's see. Kindly clarify that we run at a loss. Yes, cheese. Yes. Cheese is crazy. Not just cheese. Like what was it that I purchased now the other day? It was Blitz. It was Blitz. They just off the fire with. It was like 38 Rand, like close to 40 Rand for a packet of Blitz. It's like, when did that happen? When did that happen? Right? It's almost as much as the charcoal. I'm thinking something is crazy wrong, because this is the ripple effect, right? What happens is when people are not making enough money, they cannot cover the costs, right, of their rent. They've got machinery, they got these costs, so they put the prices up. Right, they put the prices up, and it's a ripple effect, because now transport is more, everything costs more. You understand? But you need to understand how this affects. It affects everyone. And if you look at our inflation rate of other countries, like for example Australia, yes, the inflation rate is very, very high, but also the salaries are high. You understand? So if your salaries go up, salaries are going up, right? Then it's fine. Cost of services are going up and inflation is going up at the same time. It sort of balances itself out, right? But it doesn't balance. It doesn't always balance, right? So that is where the challenge comes in. And that is why we look at alternatives during this time, right? What alternative can we do? And that is where diversification comes in on products and services. What can I use as an alternative, right? Let me just see if there's any more questions. Information. Yes, this is interesting. Learning about economics for novices. Oh, yes, absolutely. So here's the thing. And it's amazing if you look at how easy it is to get information, right? Because this is what you do. Economics, remember the thing with government, right? They plan ahead. So they plan ahead. So they know where we are. They know what is happening. They know what is there. So fortunately, we in the age of AI. This is the age we're in, right? There's hundreds of AI applications. Use whichever one you want, right? So if you go and you download the National 2030 National Development Plan, NDP 2030 NDP, you can just Google it. You can download the wonderful document, right? This is government's plan. This is where they're going to be spending money over the next few years, what their plan is. You download that whole thing. You first put in into Chat GPT or deep search, anyone you're going to use, you put in your industry, what it is that you do, right? And then you upload the plan. This is the plan, because this government's a plan. And then symbol. You ask, how does this impact me? Where's the opportunities for me? Where's the expansion? Where's government going to be moving? Because remember, you want to position your business in that space, in a growing space. This is what you want, right? Irrespective of the industry that you are in and the business that you are in, you want to position yourself in those areas. Okay, run at a loss in terms of when you mentioned our government is currently doing so. Yes. So what happens is governments, especially third world countries, right? They borrow money from the International Monetary Fund to pay for everything, right? They pay for it. So they borrow money because remember, things cost money, everything, healthcare, all of these things. So what they do is they borrow money. They borrow money to cover the cost of running business. If there's not enough money internally, we're not selling enough goods, right? We're not doing enough business, and the people, companies are not paying enough tax, right? Because this is what happens. Big companies, they don't want to pay a lot of tax, so they hire chartered accountants. And what is the job of a chartered accountant? What is the job of a chartered accountant? To pay less tax, isn't this so? This is the thing. So if you look at who pays most of the tax, keeps the government growing, is people that is employed, pay as you earn, right? This is staff pays most of the tax. Staff pays most of the tax. Small businesses pay most of the tax because they cannot afford a chartered accountant, right? To be able to figure out a way how not to pay tax, right? So where's most of the tax coming from? Is employees that's working because they are paying tax. Smaller businesses are paying tax. And if there's lots and lots of unemployment, right? Lots of unemployment, people is not working, they're not earning, government is not getting money, and small businesses are not growing, right? There's the problem, right? And this is where we are in a deficit. So now things need to be paid. So now they borrow money. That money must be paid back at interest. This is the thing. This is the thing. So if economies are not efficient, if you look at economies, like China, they are growing, they're in a plus, so they invest. But you need to understand this. They've planned 2030. If you look at the development of China, right? So the just have a look at how the government supports businesses in China. They plan 20 years ahead. They're planning 20 years ahead. They know we're going to grow. So what they do is they build the infrastructure, they offer the support to businesses, and they say, fine, you can grow. So they give that support because they know when those businesses are growing, they're getting money that's coming in, and this is how they scale, right? And this is why the world cannot compete, right? Because they understood very simple concepts about offering support to small businesses, right? And plus, if you combine that with work ethic, right, it's a very good recipe. It's a very good recipe, right? So definitely the fastest growing economy. And if we look at where we are now, America's struggling a little bit. They're struggling a little bit because this is how economies work. They've planned 20, 30 years earlier, right? They planned for growth. America never did that plan because they had the rand dollar, right? Fuel, everything was traded, so it was doing very, very well. They thought, you know what, we're the number one country in the world, and we don't need to plan. And before they knew it, China's taken over because they understood this very simple concept about offering support to smaller businesses, and giving them infrastructure. So this is what they did. They invested in infrastructure, right? And this is where we are now. We're trying to, but it takes very, very long if you're running at a loss, if your country's running at a loss, right? So it's really, if we look at where the key is, businesses. This is where the key is. Businesses. is the key to economic growth, right? If we have a strong small business, if the small business sector is strong, you employing, because we look at volumes on percentages, right? 95% of the businesses currently in South Africa is small to medium. 5% is big. So if the 95% of the businesses that is small just employ one or two people, right, that is going to make a massive difference. And if those businesses are scaling times 5 and times 10, right, that is going to make a major difference on our economy, right? But the key is to offer that type of support, right, to help them. So government has been trying, red tape reduction, support for businesses to try and assist businesses in growing. But it's going to take a lot of time, because this is the thing, right? If you look at where we are currently, a lot of the wealth that is there, because if you look at what we have in South Africa, we have the diamonds, we have the gold, we have the national resources in our country. We have lots compared to other countries that has nothing, right? They have nothing, right? They import everything. If you look at countries like Germany, and I went there a few years ago to Munich, and I was speaking to one of the guys there, in Munich. He says, you know what? We're very lucky in South Africa. We have such a lot of resources. All they have is what's between their ears, right? They have what's between their ears, and they invest in that. They invest in that, right? But what they don't have is our resources. The challenging thing is that many, many, many years ago, right, we didn't have a good understanding of our own economics, how to keep our government going. We didn't understand this, how to build economies, how to build business, right? And what happened was we used the rest of the world, and the US and the UK, and everyone came in, and the Dutch and everyone that came in with their knowledge. And what they do is they form those agreements to bring all the wealth out. So all the wealth that is here is going out of the country. This is the challenge that we have. And thankfully we have BRICS, right, which has been formed now to try and keep a lot of the wealth in Africa. This is what we want. We want businesses to grow. We want to keep the wealth in Africa, right? But currently, the majority of the wealth is going outside. All the gold, all the diamonds is going out, right? Which is, and everyone is paying for that, because as South Africans, we pay the price. We pay the price. We're paying the price. We're paying the price of that. And to change that, it's going to take a lot of effort from everyone involved, a lot of effort from government, right, to try and untangle, all of those agreements, and make sure that businesses are able to thrive and compete, right? And that is what a lot of other countries, when we look all over the world, look, the things we go through, other countries go through. So we can learn from other countries how they've overcame things, how they've broken down those agreements, how they made things easier for businesses to trade, right? It takes time, but if we look at what has happened everywhere else in the world, it has happened, right? So we can see it and we can use it. It just takes very, very long for government to move and make those changes, right? But we hope that it happens. But I would like everyone that's here, you guys that are here, to have a better understanding of it, so you can also encourage other businesses to create some of the change. If we look at innovation and just adopting AI, remember, if we look at remember we're saying we're in a trough, so we need to look at how can we use innovation? How can we do things easy and simpler? And this is the whole purpose of innovation and technology, to make things easier, right? So you're automatically more efficient if you're able to do that. And remember, we're planning for scale, which is going to happen next year, according to the trough, according to the pattern, which means what do we do? While it's quiet, like now, it's not very busy, we need to plan for growth, which means we need to implement processes and systems. And this is how we compete with bigger companies. We're looking at how we can use the innovation figure it out, because we cannot figure it out when we're very, very busy. So remember, we need to understand where we are, and we need to understand what we need to do during this time. We're preparing for expansion. We're using technology, improving processes. We're getting ready for expansion. We're improving efficiency. These are the things that we are doing now. We're also looking at what opportunities and funding is available now. We're not going to access it because it's not the right time. Listen carefully. You're not going to access the funding. You don't want to take funding now. You don't want to take loans. You don't want to buy property now, right? Unless you have available cash and it's investment. Perfect, right? But you're not gonna increase your risk right now, but you are gonna understand and figure out what is available when you expand. I hope I'm clear, right? I hope I'm clear, right? You're going to figure out what funding is available. What do they need? What is it going to cost me? Is it free? How long does it take? That is what you're going to do now. Because remember, you have different types of funding. So if you know next year, March, right? There's going to be expansion, there's going to be opportunities. You can't apply for grant funding then. It's going to take you months to do that. You remember, grant funding takes time. So this is why I'm saying you need to almost see into the future. And this is what economics, understanding cycles, allow you to do. You're almost seeing into the future. Right. This is what, because this is what a wave does. It goes up and down. It's a wave. It's a pattern. It's a pattern that you can follow and you can predict. This is what it does, right? So if you're able to do that, you're able to say, you know what? This is more or less when things are going to be looking up. I can apply now. It's going to take X amount for this finance. This finance takes 2 months. This finance I can get in 24 hours, but they're going to charge me for it. You're able to make those decisions, right? Informed decisions for your business based on the information you have. This is what understanding economics allows you to do. It allows you to make better financial decisions and lower your business risk. Okay, this is what it does. This is what it does. Networking and partnerships. This is the time. This is the time. Where we are now is to partner with other companies. Yes, you're going to partner with other companies. Instead of building capacity, you're going to partner with other companies. So you're not spending as much cash. Remember, you want to keep cash. You want to keep cash. So you're going to partner with other companies. So you share the risk. This is what you want. You want to share the risk. So you're going to partner with other companies, right? You're going to collaborate with government. This is the wonderful thing with government. They're running projects. You can collaborate, right? You can get contracts now. This is the time. Government has cycles as well. So what happens is, what's the month in November? November's the month when government spends a lot of money right now. Why? Because the whole year they're waiting. They're waiting. They're not working at full capacity, right? And then they realize, wait, I have a budget that needs to be spent. And now they wake up in December. They have to spend some money quickly because December government shuts down. They shut down. Nothing happens in December. Nothing happens in Jan. It's like a steam engine. It takes very long to get going again, right? It takes long to get going. So November, this is the month. This is the month, right? And if you are registered with government and you're part of the party right now, remember your costing is high. So for those of you that is registered with government now, there's RFQs and tenders that's out now. Your pricing is high. Why is it high? They want to spend. They want to spend their budgets. They want to spend their budgets before the end of the year. So they don't want cheap. So your costing goes higher because they also have cycles when they spend more, when they want low cost, and when they're spending more, right? So this is why you need to understand the cycles where you are. Remember, we're saying invest in skills and efficiency during this time. Training, development, coaching. I see there was one of our participants is a life coach. This is the time when you're investing in that, right? So that you can prepare yourself, so you have the skills and you have the support to be able to manage the growth that is coming, right? So this is how businesses work. Remember, you're preparing for growth. So you cannot scale if you don't have the manpower, equipment, machinery, and processes to be able to manage growth. You have to prepare for that, right? Your staff need to prepare for that, right? So if you take what I'm doing now and I say, fine, can I double up, right? Can I double up what I'm doing now, right? If the answer is yes, then it's fine. Can I multiply it by 5 what I'm doing now? If the answer is no, you need to know where to build capacity, right? So this is the time that you are going to be doing that. And then community engagement. You involving communities, you involving your network. Why are you doing this during this time? It's very important. Why? You want people, you want to support people, and you want them to support you. So you're building your networks and involvement in community, because you remember we're saying there's competition, right? There's competition. There's less money going around. What does that mean? What does that mean for you, right? If you have a funnel that's like this, so this is your funnel. This is your funnel that you have. These are all people that's coming through, and at the end of your funnel is people that's purchasing from you. This is how it works. It's a very narrow funnel now because there's not a lot of people that's spending, right? Which means that what you need to do is you need to increase that. That's what you need. You need to build a very, very big funnel, right? A lot more people going through your funnel, a lot more collaboration. And this is why you involve community, involve partnerships, right? You're going to networking events, right? You're forming that partnerships and you're forming referrals. Referral. We had a networking session, right? Full house networking session last week, right? And this is what we told businesses that was there. Referral agreements. This is when you're forming a referral agreement. You have a client, this is what I do, right? You have someone that purchases, that can purchase. You refer someone to me that trusts you, because this is what people do when there's not a lot of money available. They don't want to take a chance. They're only going to go to someone they can trust. This is it. When people have a lot of money, go and try it. Fine, there's a lot of money going around. I don't care, right? People don't worry when they have a lot of money. When money is scarce, people are hesitant to spend. They're only going to spend on someone they trust. They trust them. So if someone has someone that trusts them, you can trust me, right? You trust me. You spent money on me already. You can trust this person as well, right? They deliver this service, right? They a life coach. You can trust them, right? Because this is how people are spending now. Cautiously, they're spending cautiously. So that value, that connection, that is very valuable for you. But you're going to make sure they benefit. This is how it works. They need to be benefit through your collaboration, benefit through your networks, benefit through your engagement with people. You refer someone to me, I give you 5%. Thank you very much. Right? I give you 5%. 5% is nothing. 5% is nothing. Marketing costs you more than 5%, but I'm going to give you 5%. If you refer someone to me, this is the time. If you have 5, 10 referral agreements, the more the merrier. You have 10 referral agreements, doesn't matter. You're giving 5%. It's work coming to you, building a bigger funnel. This is what you need to do. Build funnels during this time, right? This is what you're going to do. Build funnels, form agreements. I give you 5%. There's work coming to you without your effort, right? This is what you're going to be doing. You're going to be engaging, right? You're going to be engaging with communities, because this is what we want. people making emotional decisions. And when things are tough, this is where people do that. You know what? When things were tough, you assisted me. This is how it works. People make decisions like this. People make decisions. When things was tough, you assisted me. Right. Now things are going really great. I'm going to see how I can assist you and support you. So this is what you do during this time. You engage and you assist with people. You assist people. Thank you very much. Let's see if there's any questions. We've done the presentation. We covered a lot. We covered a lot. Okay. How long is the pattern of 2026 going to last? Right. So it depends on 1,000 factors, right? So what happens is, so 2026, right? Once it, depending on the support, so government understands this. They know. Once things start moving, they need to offer support. And this is why the cycle depends on the businesses that accesses the support, how long it's going to last. It could last for the whole year. It could last for the whole year, right? It depending on the uptake, right? Because what happens is, remember, it's a ripple effect. It's a ripple effect, right? So once companies start moving, companies start in spending, and it's small things. It is small things that sparks it, right? So it's government contracts initially, then businesses start, right? And this is how the cycle. This is how the cycle moves. It could last months, or it could last even a year, depending on the uptake and the economy. But you must remember now, it's not only South Africa, it's globally, right? So there's a lot of factors, but this is the wonderful thing, right? If you look at government strategy on spend, if you go on CSD, right? So remember, central supplier dot is government, where they're spending every single cent needs to be planned. Here's the thing, right? If you go on CSD, it not only shows you current RFQs, current tenders. It also show you their plan for the next 6 to 12 months. And a lot of people don't know this. They don't know this. It gives you the plan, 6 to 12 month plan. It's not an RFQ. It just says this is so you can go in each department and you can see the planned outcome for their sectors, where they're going to be pushing, money and support, right? And remember, government understands cycles very, very well. So this is how you're going to be using. This is how you understand, how long this growth is going to be. You look at government first. Referral, absolutely. I can share the referral agreement template with you guys. We do have it. So I will share the referral template with you, which we already have, which we paid for, by the way. So we got an accountant, an accounting firm, and they drafted one for us, a referral agreement which covers all the basics. So I'm happy to share the agreement with you guys in Word. Obviously, you need to edit it, right? Because it's a template that we use. You will edit the template, you put your details in there, and you put the agreement that you're going to form with other companies. You'll put their details in there, and then obviously you both sign it. Okay. The session is recorded. Yes, we will share the recording as well. Thank you for the great. Thank you, Jonathan. Is there any questions? So great. We are done with the presentation. Is there any questions? You can ask your question now. I'm going to stop sharing. There we go. Question, guys. Is there any questions? You can put it in the chat, or you can unmute. You can put up your hand and I can unmute you if you are shy. If you are shy, you can, let me just check the chat. Charcoal 50, yes. Charcoal is 50 Rand, but the Blitz that used to be 12 Rand, the price just skyrocketed. And I don't understand why the Blitz, because it's locally produced. It's locally produced. So yeah, crazy. Yes. Yes, buy in bulk. Absolutely. This is what we do as well, right? You buy in bulk, right? And this is the thing. When things are going well, you just go, you can go to, you can go to Woolworths and Pick n Pay, it doesn't matter. But when things are tough, yes, you go to the One Up or Giant and you buy wholesale. These are all the things that you can do to save during this time, right? You want to also uh, um, support companies that are offering alternatives. This is what you want, small businesses, right? If you look at the amount of people on Facebook Marketplace these days, yes, we understand there's lots of scammers as well, but there's a lot of businesses trading on there that is quite credible, that is offering cheaper products. And even if you look at all the auction companies that selling second-hand products, second-hand clothing, it's like Swift is like a crazy thing now, right? As well, right? These are the trends. These are the trends, that is happening now, right? Which a lot of businesses are saying, you know what, I can actually go and buy on an auction, and I can get it for a lot cheaper than what I can at the shop. And when things are going well, you wouldn't necessarily do that. So there's a lot more people, also a lot more people purchasing online, because this is the thing. You can get it online also for very, very cheap. So these are the things that you're going to be doing. Is there any more questions for building business? What's your advice for you building business partners? Right. So, yes. So this is where LinkedIn comes in. So hopefully you guys are on LinkedIn. Hopefully you guys are following our channels. I'm just going to post it quickly I just posted it in the chat. It's our channel, our WhatsApp channel. If you're not following it, follow our channel. We share information in there on our WhatsApp channel. So please follow us on the channel. And we can gladly also assist you. I'm also going to share my WhatsApp number 0835979687. And you can contact me on WhatsApp if you need assistance. Remember, we assist businesses that want to scale. That's what we do. We do executive coaching, but we would expect that you are ready to scale. So if you're ready to scale, we can assist you. Cello, you have a question? Let's see if I can. There we go. Sailor, you can unmute yourself and then you can talk. Sailor, do you have a question? Go for it.
Good morning.
Hi there, Sailor.
I hope you are fine. I can see you are fine.
Yeah.
Last week when we had the presentation in Cape Town, you spoke a lot about. There were a lot of things that you mentioned, and especially about scaling up or upscaling. And you even made an example of the company that you took to Woolworths. And
Yes.
but you didn't divulge much more about how does what one should do in order to be helped by you to be in that era, whether you should submit a profile or what. You didn't get too much to it, but you just mentioned it. There were a lot of things that were happening. There were a lot of things,
Yeah.
like things were moving fast on Thursday when we were
Yes.
there. But I'd
Yes.
like to
Move
know
fast.
more
I move
about
fast.
it.
I move
Yeah.
fast. I move fast. So
Uh,
so let me explain the opportunity, not just with Woolworths, right? So yes,
yeah, you
Woolworths
mentioned a lot
acquired.
of
Yes. So
opportunities.
there's
Yeah.
lots of opportunities, right? The opportunities was obviously for businesses that want to scale. This is the opportunity. Remember when we're moving, and remember we're in a trough now. So what happens is corporate companies, right? Corporate companies are also looking to expand, right? They are looking to spend money on smaller companies. So this is the thing. So when I say that corporate companies are also looking to be competitive. You understand? So we think that we are struggling. Big companies also struggle, right? So you might think, oh, it's a big company, it's Woolworths or it's Pick n Pay. or it's Capitec, right? It's a big company, but they are also struggling to get contracts, right? And they know when things are tough, government still spends money. So this is the thing. So why do you think, right, that Woolworths and Capitec and ABSA are running programs? You need to ask yourself why. Why are they spending money? Why are they doing this? And this is the reason. I will explain to you why they are spending money so that you understand. So they are spending money now because they want government contracts on their BEE scorecard so they can get government contracts, which for them is worth billions. It's worth billions of rands. Government contract, insurance, banks, all of that. They're spending money now. So if they want government contracts, those billion rand, and to get it, they need to be compliant on their BEE. So they get a BEE score, right? They're either level 1, 2, 3, or 4, or 5, or whatever. And based on that, right, is going to determine whether or not they're going to be getting a contract or not. So banks are competing with other banks, right? Retailers are competing with other retail companies. So they want to improve their scoring so they can get contracts. This is the time that they're using for that. And the ESD initiative through Woolworths is an enterprise and supplier development program where they need to spend money on a small business, take it away from a big supplier, right? They need to take the contract away from a big supplier, give it to you as a small business so they can get points. Because companies over 50 mil, they don't get points on their scorecard. It needs to be under 50 mil turnover, but you need to be able to deliver the service. So they contacted us and they said, can you refer? We're looking for companies in this sector. They need to do in the digital ICT space, able to develop software and compete against IBM and do cabling. This is the companies they wanted. This is the company that said, can you refer a company that is ready to scale? What does that mean? Ready to scale. It means you're not a startup. It means you know your business. You're operating for years. You have processes. You have a business plan. You have financials. You're compliant. You have all of those things. You have capacity. So this is what they wanted. This is what they wanted. And they didn't have time. So they contacted us. Do we have? And I referred a few companies. I referred companies that we've worked with, that we've supported, and I referred them, and a few companies that we didn't. But it was referred. We referred. So we contacted people that we know. We put it on our channels. We've shared it with companies that we know, and we got a few companies and we connected them that sit, and those companies are sitting with contracts through Woolworths now, right? And there's a few of them that didn't get it. Now, this is the challenge. When we approach you and we say, here's an opportunity, a lot of those, the two of the companies that we approached, they said, no, we're ready. Just connect us. I said, why would we do? Are you ready? I need to know, what is your turnover? How much staff do you have? How long are you doing this? What is your capacity? No, we can do it, no problem. That door opened and it closed. And it will never open again. This is why we're saying, you think that you're ready for it, but you're not ready for that, because those are companies, because you remember, you are taking contracts away from IBM. This is it. You're competing against the companies that are doing half a billion rand turnover. That's the company you're competing against, and they're giving you this contract so they benefit. I hope I'm clear. So that's the companies we work with that's ready to scale. So that's right. So we assist companies. So if you're currently operating already, you have staff already, you have financials, yes, you know your business, right? You know your business. You're able to multiply by 5 or 10. Yep, then we're able to assist you, right? Then we're able to then assist you, right? If you're still figuring out what it is that you're doing, then you're not ready yet, because then you're not ready. You can't scale unless you know exactly what you're doing, because it costs money to scale, right? And you don't want to be offering scaling something and it's not the right thing, it's not the right product or services. You first need to perfect your product and service. Needs to be perfected. You need to perfect it. Once it's perfected, you can scale it. If it's not perfected yet, yes. So when you speak with companies, and the first thing they say is, we're gonna do this, we want to 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 do that. I'm not interested in what you want to do. We're not interested in what you want to do. We are interested in what you have done. What you have done. Show me what you have done. Right? If I see, look, this is what you did last year. Great. Show me what you did last year. How much money did you make last year? How much services did you offer last year? How much people did you employ last year? Great. Now we can help you. But if you're planning stuff for next year and you need funding and contracts and machinery and you need all of these things, then we can't help you yet. We can't, you're not ready yet. Because then you still need to figure things out. Right. So once you have, then you set up a meeting with us and we will be able to help you grow very, very quickly with government contracts because that's what we specialize in. We specialize with government. We know how government works. We've done 500 jobs for government and thousands of tenders and proposals. We know how government works. So we're able to help you access opportunities through government, and we're able to help you access opportunities through corporate companies. That is the work that we do. We help you get in, but we also help you retain the contracts to understand that, when you're sitting with a contract, there is nurturing that is required. You need to nurture those relationships with Woolworths. And this is what companies don't understand, that when you're sitting with a contract from Woolworths, there's 100 companies that's trying to take that contract away from you. It's not guaranteed. It's yours forever. You need to retain it and you need to nurture the buyers. You need to nurture them. So if you don't know how to do that, we can help you and show you how to nurture those clients and retain those contracts. But unfortunately, we cannot sell your business, right? We can't sell your business for you. You need to know how to sell it. We can open the door for you, but you need to be able to sell your business. Okay. Do you only help for profits? Makes no difference if you're for profit, if you're non-for-profit. It's about experience. Remember, we work with ESD, Enterprise and Supply Development. We also work with CSI. The problem with CSI compared to ESD operating for five years, it's new, relatively new. CSI has been around for 30 years, more than 30 years. There's always been CSI. So if you're competing in the CSI space, you need to be offering massive value, because remember, there's no new contracts. You effectively taking contracts away from someone else so that you can get it. This is how it works. And if you're going to take some contracts away from a non-profit company that is delivering services that they're doing for 20, 30 years, and then if you were to get that, you need to be delivering an exceptional service as a non-profit, where they need to have an exceptional record, right? An exceptional monitoring and evaluation process to be able to measure impact of your programs. And it needs to be aligned to the organization's strategic CSI plan and national development goals. Right. So if you understand what I'm referring to, then you're fine. If you do not understand what I'm referring to, then you're not ready to compete in the CSI space, because corporate companies are aligned to the UN Sustainable Development Goals. And if you are a non-profit company, you need to have a theory of change document that aligns whatever it is that you're doing to their UN Sustainable Development Goal plans. If you are aligned and you're also measuring impact the way they are measuring their impact, then you can access funding and support. And there is a lot of funding in the CSI space, right? But you need to understand that is a different playing field. And if you understand how it works, you should be able to access. But remember, it's more competitive than ESD because it's been around for very, very long. So if you're going to play in that space, you need to know what you're doing. you need to know what you're doing. We do impact assessments. That's why we know the industry very, very well. So we do impact assessments. We assess CSI programs. We assess ESD programs for corporate companies. That's what we do through our PTY. We are currently, I'm representing our foundation right now, but our PTY does that. We charge for that. So we have good relationships for companies that are in the CSI, and a lot of those companies are non-profit companies, right? Well, one of them is Asisa Foundation. They're non-profit, but their turnover is roughly about 300 million. So they get a lot of funding. You need to understand how that space, there's a lot of money in that space. If you're able to deliver services, there is money, right? How does your mentorship work? And do you charge a fee? Cello, yes, if it's through our foundation, we don't charge. You apply for support if you are ready to scale, and we offer support through our foundation, right? If we have already, we take on 15 companies per annum, and we help those 15 companies that are ready to scale, right? If you are not part of the 15 companies, you can contact us anytime through our PTY, and we can help you, but then we charge you through our PTY per session, and the price of it varies on what it is that you need, right? We will charge you for the session, but we will not charge you for the first session, right? But remember, to meet, you need to be ready to scale. That's the requirement. It's the criteria, right? If we say, look, we send you a few questions, and you say, yes, I'm ready to scale. Great, we can meet with you. Because what do we want? Our core is job creation. We want you to, all we want is for you to grow and create lots of jobs to help grow our economy. That's what we want. But we know if you're not ready yet, you still need to figure things out. You can't employ people. You're not ready to employ people. You're still figuring things out, right? Once you figured it out, now you're ready to scale. Now you're ready to employ people. Okay. Now you employ people. So that's why we're saying when you are ready to scale, we're there to help you, because that's what we do very, very well. You're going to scale very, very quickly. Do you offer, Clay, do you offer mentorship or consultation to startup? Mentorship, executive mentoring, and executive coaching. But remember what we said, it's for companies that is already established for 2 years. You must have financials for 2 years. You must be already understand your industry and your services. And if you're then ready to grow and scale, we're then able to assist you through our foundation or through our PTY. Okay, so we assist in all different areas. We consult in finance, marketing. It depends what you need. Right, so what we would first do is have a discussion, and we say, fine, what is it that you need? I need assistance in how to access government contracts. I need into the corporate space. I need marketing assistance. I need finance assistance. I need business process assistance. Whatever assistance you need, we will provide assistance in those areas. Okay. Is there any more questions? Let's have a look. Is there anyone that has a question that want to unmute and ask your question? Okay, so coaching and incubation is slightly different, right? So coaching, business coaching, you come in, assess your business, you need help with the market.